Yeah.
We're live. We're live, Andy.
Yeah. Robbie, we can hear you loud and clear, mate. You can't hear us, so if you just want to take it away now, everybody's listening to you.
You mean that nobody's going to interrupt me? I can say what I like.
Absolutely. Got the floor, and you're being live streamed, courtesy of our friendly Charles. So if I can hand over to you, Robbie, if you want to kick off, mate.
Fantastic then. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay. Just a couple of pieces of housekeeping, if I can start with those. Those of you who are veterans of this will know that every year when we hold our election, we have to form an election management team for the purpose. And that team has to be chaired by somebody who's completely outside of the organisation. So I'd just like to start by thanking Stuart Woolard from the Swindon Town Supporters Trust, who chaired that team this year. I'd also like to thank our very own Phil Corbett from Yorkshire Seasiders. They, along with me, made up the team. They were very diligent in the job. Without them, we wouldn't have had an election. So I think it's very appropriate just to pay tribute to the work that they've done on our behalf. So thank you to both of them. Without more ado, the votes cast this year were as follows, and I'll announce these in reverse order. There were 5 candidates. In 5th place was Patrick McChrystal with 156 votes. Carl Nicholson was 4th with 186 votes. In 3rd place was Mark Turner with 193 votes. Finishing 2nd was Neil Holden with 251 votes. And the winner was Tim Fielding with 414 votes. So congratulations to Tim, to Neil, and to Mark, who have qualified for the 3 available slots on the committee. I'd like to commiserate with Carl and Pat, if I may. I know from personal experience that, finishing outside the winning places in an election isn't necessarily a great thing. But by taking part in the way that we did, we have massively strengthened our mandate as an organisation. We will be better for the fact that we've had a vigorous competition this year. And the final thing from me on this is that turnout was very, very high compared with what has been happening nationally across the FSA. We managed to turn out at 51.6%, which I'm told by my opposite number at the Football Supporters Association is hugely ahead of what has been happening up and down the country in the last 12 months or so. So thank you to everybody that voted. You've really done a favour to us in the long term in terms of our strength as an organisation. And I'll hand back to Andy now just to affirm that Neil, Tim and Mark have duly been elected to the committee. Thank you.
Thanks, Robbie. Yes, congratulations to the 3 winners, and also condolences to the 2 sort of runners up. And you all still are. Robbie will disappear now, so he can't hear us, but Robbie's gone. All part of the BST wider family. We've got so much work on, so your skills and expertise in the fields of marketing, in terms of social media, in terms of governance and various things will be greatly appreciated, because we've got a committee of 9, but we've got a team which is far bigger, as everybody knows. Okay, so now that's out of the way, could we pass over to Tony, please? The microphone, Tony. Tony's going to run through the accounts.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks a lot. So BST Treasurer Tony Hodgson, fortunately can't be with us today. So I'm going to give you a quick overview. The accounts for year ending 30th of June 2021. There's a few printed copies about the room if anybody wants to have a look at the accounts. Accounts are also on our website. So trust income for the year was £4,582 in total. Majority of this amount was from membership subscriptions, which we're very thankful for, and the remainder from donations received. Move on to the outgoings of the trust. We have donations at £4,417. Quite large, this figure this year. Reason for that being, we donated £3,000 to the massively successful children's Christmas present appeal run by the club last year and Community Trust. I'll move on to a bit more about that later. The player sponsorship that we paid was £360. Trust expenses of £1,042. This expense, there was a lot of costs involved for the trust to carry out 2 surveys. We had to purchase professional subscription to survey hosting sites. On insurance and accounting costs, we had £370. So although our treasurer actually produces the accounts, they do go to an accountant where they're signed off. Before then, by law, we submit them to the Financial Conduct Authority. Website and IT, £442, and bank charges of £200. This gives us total expenses of £6,831. So this gives the trust first ever net deficit for the year of £2,249. Now, this was not unexpected. The trust has for some time been holding reserves which needed to be put to good use. So the opportunity offered by Simon Sadler for us to double any donations with the Christmas appeal was a good way to use some of those reserves, we felt. So there you have a brief summary of the accounts, which, as I say, are available online. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony. And thanks to Tony Hodgson as well for putting it together. He's away sunning himself, isn't he? In the Maldives. We should have got him to find with the election results. That would have been more in keeping, wouldn't it, with our style? Right. Okay, so as you see, we've got table and chairs. Could I invite Ben? Yep. Brett? Nancy, would you just like to join the chats?
Oh, sorry, I thought it was just Ben.
Well, come on, the more the merrier. Come on, that's a round of applause, please. Thanks ever so much. I know you've got duties to attend to today, Jen, so we appreciate it. That's why we've put you on first. So my eyesight's not so good. What time are we now? 20 past 10, it's 11, is it? So if we go up to about 12 max, at the max. Yeah, so we'll give us a half an hour, is that okay? Well, you know what they're like when they get going. They talk as much as me. Great. Okay, so we've got Paul on the microphone for the Q&A when we go to that. So I'll hand over now to Ben.
Okay, well, congratulations to those that were elected and commiserations to those that weren't. But that sounds like an outstanding turnout, which is good for all of us in football. I haven't prepared anything. I didn't necessarily. I thought I got told Q&A, so I thought I was in the clear for once. No, look, it's good to be here. Hopefully, you've all seen how far we've come since Simon purchased the club. We won't get everything right, but it's important when we learn when we get things wrong. I think in the main, it's been a really successful 2.5 years. We've had some real highs. I think the stadium's come on, the academy's come on. Neil Critchley, hopefully, be careful saying that word around here, but hopefully we'll continue to go from strength to strength. But in the main, no, I think it's been a really job well done, and I think everyone's played their part. We're only as strong as our team, and that comes from Simon Sadler, through all the management in the club, through everyone connected to the club, down to the apprentice groundsmen and onto our supporter base, because the sense of togetherness that Neil's been able to foster, I think, resonates from the terraces all the way to the boardroom. So from us up here, myself and Brett as 2 of the 3 directors, and Ash, who are obviously an integral part of what goes on around the club, thank you very much, and I'm here now, hopefully, rather than me rabbiting on, to answer the questions you guys want to ask. Brett, unless you want to say anything else.
The only thing I would like to add is that the hugely successful shirts for the 7-year-old children demonstrated the club working together with the trust and the Blackpool Supporters Trust and also the Community Trust, and it shows the united front that we now have at our football club, very different from not so long ago. So that's one example of everyone pulling in the right direction, the same direction. And I'd like to thank everyone for their assistance with that. I think it was Raggy's idea initially, and then Andy and Robbie brought it to the football club. Simon very much supported it, and everyone worked together in that making it happen. So thank you for that, and that's an example of the way that we can work together going forward. So, you know, if people have proposals that can be brought to us and they are achievable and realistic, then we would wish to work together again in the future. So thank you for that. Just again to mention the excellent support that we've had this season. It's been outstanding. Every single away director has commended the atmosphere at our ground. It's just unlike anything anywhere else we go. So thank you to you, and thank you to everyone else, particularly in the North Stand there, for making Blackpool such a fantastic place to be on a Saturday afternoon. So thank you all. I've not prepared anything. I didn't expect to be saying anything, but I'll pass on to Ash.
Trying to find out where the bus was going to come off. Yeah, just to reiterate everything everyone's already said, and thank you to everyone for all the support. And as Brett said, the success that we've had already with the shirt campaign, where with the opt-in now, we're over 1,000 families that had opted in by 4 o'clock yesterday on Friday. So it's certainly been well received within the community. Deadline for parents and families is 5 o'clock on Monday, and then we've got an opportunity then to go back to some of the schools where we need to do a little bit of chasing if it looks like numbers are a little bit low, and then hopefully we'll have all the shirts onto these smiley faces by end of this next week. And also thank you to the BST obviously and all the supporters again for the Christmas campaign last year. Unbelievable success, not just for the money raised and to get all those presents out, but going on and seeing all the messages every day, it was really heartwarming. So again, appreciate all the support. We're about to announce next week again what we're going to be doing with the campaign for this year, because there was that much money raised that we were able to continue the campaign this year as well. So orders are in. We know how many young people need them. It's a lot more than last year, unfortunately. I think obviously because it's been such a difficult year for our community. But again, at least we're able to continue with that support. So again, thank you to everyone.
Great, nod, we're off.
Tim Fielding, recently elected. Yeah, I think it's really sort of an opportunity to give yourselves up there, hopefully expand on the philosophy of the club. I mean, I think from where we're all sat, particularly against say 12 months ago, I think if you told us that we'd be where we are in the Championship this time last year, you'd have to pinch yourselves. So my guess is that probably we're ahead of where we thought we were going to be. And I was just wondering how that was factored into the strategies that you guys are looking to at the moment. And obviously, getting Neil Critchley signed up to a long-term deal was clearly fundamental to that. But I'm just wondering whether you can sort of share what you can about what the strategy is on transfer policies, because your Championship is a bit of a basket case financially, and navigating through that sensibly is a challenge. And I'm just wondering how you see yourself doing it.
Brett's looking at me, isn't he? That's fair enough. I think one of the things we did when we made the decision, and it was a difficult one because Simon Grayson is a really genuine football person, so that was a difficult decision. But when Critch came in, it was clear that we needed to talk about how we were going to play football and how all of that was going to link up. And I think whilst when we're in League One, we're a big club in League One, and we were able to be competitive with the fantastic support of what was 5,500-ish season tickets, all of the sponsors and Simon. When you go to the Championship, we're not, but we want to continue to punch above our weight. So we felt we needed 3 things, which was quality of coaching, quality of recruitment, and quality of academy. And I think Neil Critchley sort of ticks the first box, and that's been seen now. That I think Critch, very much in a Jurgen Klopp way, he would suggest finds a way to win when we have injuries, sets up, invariably seems very tactically astute. So, everybody's seen how the journey that Critch has been on, and I think he leaves us well prepared. He gives the players very little excuse. You know, we're well prepared, we're well drilled, there's good analysis, we prepare right, we travel right, we've improved the analysis, we've improved the sports science, we've improved the medical side of the club, all to give him the best opportunity to overachieve. And hopefully, sat 11th, we're showing that we're doing that definitely bang for buck in terms of size of budget. In terms of recruitment, we made initial appointments, Tommy Johnson, Johnny Gibson, and that's now been led on by John Stevenson, who's our head of football operations. John's just spent about 12 months at the club now. John's a few grey hairs that maybe we need. Very, very experienced operator in that sort of head of football ops, head of football style role. He heads up an extensive team now for recruitment. When it came to the academy, we brought back Kieran Donnelly from his 3-year sabbatical up the road. And I think we've seen now that they sit second. They're through to semi-finals. We've got the FA Youth Cup game on Thursday. I think it's brilliant for as many as possible to get behind the lads. We've made that free of charge, and we really want the boys to feel a little bit of the experience and the support that the first team boys have faced. The academy, of course, will take some time. I don't think it's a secret from the EFL productivity reports that we were one of the lowest ranking Category 3 academies, given the lack of investment that was made in that area under previous ownership. And Kieran, now is working, with an extensive staff, which is beyond the core requirements of what's required for Category 3. I'm quite excited about the recruitment that he's doing. We are really now in the arm wrestle for some of the best young players that are getting released from Cat 1 and Cat 2 teams. And that's a credit to the work that he's done and his newly appointed head of recruitment, Paul Murray. So we're having a right go across those three. What that probably means is that Simon's given us fantastic support, but he's also given us support with some fairly meaty capital investments. The work that's been done around the stadium, is considerable. The work that's been done towards the new training ground will be considerable. And at some point, we've also said further down the line will come, hopefully the East Stand as well. So to give us a budget that will compete towards the top of the championship, then of course, player trading may need to be part of that to like we've seen the journey that Brentford, for example, have gone on. Barnsley went on as well. So, I want to be honest about that we've got to do it sensibly. We've got to do it with a model. We've got to stay within our remit. I've been on a couple of EFL Championship calls about profitability and sustainability. And it's fantastic that I can sit there going, we just don't need to fall out about any of these type of numbers because we're just going to manage ourselves in a way that doesn't put the future of the club at risk, that we live within what Simon thinks is sensible. And we stay in our lane. On deadline day, we were looking at various things. Do we get a really expensive short-term loan in, or do we do what we did with Owen Dale? And for us, the Owen Dale, just to come back to your point about transfer sort of policy, the Owen Dale one just feels right for us, that we're taking a young man that's on modest wages at Crewe and we're giving him, good Blackpool wages, and he wants to come, and there's an eye of the tiger about him. There's a hunger, there's a desire to be here, that they see Blackpool now as a footballing destination. And I think that suits us then trying to find short-term fixes or eking out the last 12 months of somebody. We've got a young, hungry squad in the main with a smattering of over 30s. And I think Maxi, Medine, Keogh, add that little bit of grey hair. And I think we've got a good blend. So the policy for us is across those three strands, which I think Simon talked about in his last piece. That coaching, that recruitment, and that academy piece. So I'm quite pleased where we've got to across those three, and hopefully with the togetherness that we foster, with the hard work, with the desire, with the fact that everybody now wants to be in Blackpool, that we can continue to overachieve.
I think I can speak for most people. I think we all know that if we do have to reach that point where we're going to make a sale to balance the books, that we know it's going to go back into the club. And I think that's something that we didn't have 10 years ago when we were in a similar situation in the Championship. And risking losing players where it went and it went. And I think there's a realisation we're in a division where if we're going to balance, we've got to sometimes cash in. We saw Brentford do it, as you've mentioned, extremely well. And it's big, sometimes there's big money to be received in, isn't there? And if you can convert that and churn again, I see that as something very, very positive for the club.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we just try and be honest, try and be honest and transparent, and they're words that hopefully are going to resonate around the room. And there's nothing to hide anymore. We'll be as upfront and as honest as we can be. And at times, we're just going to have to stay within our lane. We're just going to have to understand the support from the fan base, the support from the local sponsorships, and stakeholders, and the support from Simon. This is where we get to. We're just going to make that go as far as we can. And hopefully, you've seen the type of individual that Critch wants to recruit, Critch wants to work with, Critch wants to develop. And in the main, I think if they don't win, they've given you pretty much all they can. And I think we have to sometimes, that's us, and that's good.
Anybody else got any questions? Look at the back.
I'm Mark Turner. I squeaked in third place.
Congratulations, Mark.
I feel like it's a potluck, really. Looking at how close the dogs were now.
I'm sure Grimmy said there's free beers for everyone that won.
We've heard that Raggy's big wheel ale number, so my question's about the training ground. Anything you can tell us about that, its development? We're all hoping that's going to be a great community facility, and obviously we want to see it yesterday. But where are we?
I'm still a lawyer by trade. I still maintain my practicing certificate because Mum said, if I've sent you to uni, you can bloody pay a few quid to keep going every year. So I do, Tim. I pay that 280 odd quid every year. I don't want to blame lawyers, but we're kind of there, really. A preferred site is identified, as Brett and I have said in different dispatches over recent weeks. We are so close to being able to make an announcement. I think it'd be really silly of us to make the announcement until we've got the land assembly piece done, that I've got all the different people's signatures on contracts, binding contracts, and then we can. So we are very close. We're into about our third or fourth knockback of the various documents between solicitors, and apologies if there's any property lawyers in the room, but they're not the most usually dynamic and personable types, if you've ever bought or sold houses. But joking aside, we're very, very close to being able to make a really, looking at Brett, because we're both incredibly excited. We are really, really close, and Ash, we really are close to telling you what's going on. And also, we're very fortunate with the support that Simon gives us, that we're not just sat waiting for that land assembly piece and then everything's going to kick into action. We're continuing to work behind the scenes so that we're very close with our architects and our our project managers and our agronomists and those that are telling us where pitches can and can't be done and where drainage does and doesn't need to go, that hopefully we can make some fairly swift progress as soon as I have everyone's signature on a contract. That means the site's hours were secured, and we can be getting in front of the relevant councils and planning divisions. So I'm really hopeful that we're still weeks away from being able to make that announcement.
Thanks a lot, then. Will it be a centre of excellence?
I've picked up different words and phrases in dispatches, and I try not to mention the former owner's name. That seems to get me a few brownie points. So Brett and Simon are fantastic for guiding me around avoiding pitfalls that I might through talking too much and mentioning words I shouldn't. But what I can assure you it is going to be a fantastic site. It's going to be an absolute legacy for the club from this period and from Simon's ownership of the club. And it will be a centre for the development of hopefully some of the best talent from local people on the Fylde Coast. And I'm really hopeful that once we can show you it all, you will always be even more excited than Brett and I and Simon.
Anyone else got questions? Christine? I'm probably ready for that one, actually.
Do you think Grimmy might bring us a drink? Or? Just a water would be great, Grimmy. Something like that would be great, thank you.
Okay, my question's for Ashley, actually.
Fantastic.
I know only too well the community trust struggles over certain difficult years. In spite of that, you still managed to do a lot of good work. It's fantastic that you've won the award and richly deserved. Absolutely it is. But do you feel now, or what's the feeling that you've got at the trust now that we've got the club back, that you've got the fans behind the club, and that connection has been re-established? How much, shall I say, easier is it to do your job now?
It's nice to not get abused in Tesco when you've got a club kit on. That's one start. Yeah, I mean, I've been there 10.5 years, so I actually joined the summer after the Premier League, but came in to develop the projects that were given to us with Premier League funding. And yeah, I think if we wrote the whole story, it'd look more up and down than any of the rides at the Pleasure Beach. But now it's amazing to be part of something where we're all going in one direction. So regular communication with Ben and Brett and even Simon about how we can be involved in supporting to develop this town. And I think what you see, as you say, winning that fantastic award a couple of weeks ago was sentiment to that. And the other clubs and trusts that were up for that nomination kind of proves where we are. We're the 10th biggest community trust in the country now outside the Premier League, with the amount of staff and projects and funding that we have coming through. Thanks, Grimmy. And that's that sentiment really to the direction that we're all working in. We've just opened an independent school. It's the first football club in the country to open a school for secondary school students who are struggling in mainstream education. With 68 students on our BTEC programme, we've got 120 kids going through our traineeship. We're in every school in Blackpool supporting with PE, mental health, all these different things that we're doing. We've got a community cohesion team now, which are very much focused on trying to support young people who are at risk of getting involved in crime or antisocial behaviour, and trying to mentor them onto a positive direction. We've developed lots of activities which maybe would have been a little bit more difficult, certainly in the last couple of years. Where we've been able to do it is stuff with adults, where we've now got free weight management programs, we've got mental health provision, we've got social inclusion stuff. So there's absolutely loads going on, and the team are absolutely amazing and so dedicated to supporting people to live healthier, happier lives. For us, we're only ever going to be as strong as the football club can be. So whilst, we still developed and we still grew under some really difficult times, being able to do it now with a football club that's thriving, an owner that genuinely wants to support our community in our town, it just makes things so much easier. We're not trying to push on doors. We're not spending the first half an hour of every meeting explaining that we are independent. We're not part of those decisions that are being made. We're not, involved in the finances. Everything's separate. It's now, we're Blackpool Football Club and we're here to help. And it's made things so much easier, so much more successful, as you can see now with the amount of stuff we've got going on. And I think with the stuff that we've got coming as well, it's just really, really exciting.
Christine, can I just add there in support of what Ash has just said, that when Simon first took over the club, we felt that to some extent Ash was working at a distance from the football club because of the history and the fact that he had to work in that way. Now, what we have tried to achieve is Ben and I are now on the board of the trust, and we are trying to bring the trust together with the football club. We're all pulling in the same direction rather than pulling against each other. Yeah. So that, I said before, it's about unity and it's about a consistent approach. Simon has been very supportive with the office space that he's afforded to the trust. I'm sure Ash would agree, and his financial input. But the club wants the trust to succeed. That is our charitable arm within the community. We work together. We are really one entity, and there shouldn't be, as there was in the past, that division and that standalone operation. We're all the same. Yeah, so it's very much the mission statement of the football club to support Ash and his excellent staff as much as we possibly can. They do great work in our community, but if the trust wasn't doing it, it does beg the question, who would be doing it? So they really deserve the award that was given at the football awards last week. It was very, very deserved for Ash and his team.
Well done,
Just following on from that, hopefully that Blackpool Supporters Trust can work close together with the football club too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think we've demonstrated that already with there was the obviously the example of the shirt. There was last Christmas the Children in Poverty campaign. That's ongoing again this year. We've also worked with the Armfield Club with regard to the mental health line that we were very supportive of and encouraging of excellent work within the community. That there was a gap in the market. Certainly, the Armfield developed a very helpful line to support people in very desperate situations, and on occasions, their intervention perhaps even save lives. I don't know, but it can only help. So we want to work with all supporters groups, and of course, Blackpool Supporters Trust is the biggest. Grimmy might disagree with that, but look, we everyone's a supporter. We want to work with supporters. We value the support we have, and we want to listen and we want to engage, and that would be the message that we send.
Great, thank you.
Just following on that as well, though, I think we need you at times as well. So we've got a lot of programs certainly within the community trust that are supported with the club that are very much focused on tackling isolation, trying to support with positive mental health. And what we need is you guys to support us to get the message out there that actually there's help in the stadium that can hopefully fill some of those needs that are there. So we need you as much as you need us. So help us, please spread those messages.
Thank you.
I think we've got quite a few Christmas presents that need wrapping in the next couple of weeks as well, if you could.
Cheers. I think as well, James, one thing also to mention in terms of all the groups working together, hopefully we're going to have the food banks and the big bank initiative come up, another good example. So, and I'll just say what Lee said to me, we were sat here a few years ago, but never envisaged we'd have such a positive situation. We were a trusted exile, we were stuck in the coffers thinking we might have a football team, we'll be in that. And one thing we've always had common to us is if you've got any of our wrists, we'll have tangerine blood coming out. So dedicated. And I know you are as well, Brett, being a local, I know life's awesome. The question I wanted to ask, I think, maybe to Brett, but also interested in you guys, and just in terms of the demographics of the town, of this place where we live, is I know, Ben, you were over at Barnsley, weren't you? Over in charge at Barnsley. In terms of Blackpool's a seaside resort, one thing that's always amazed me is, being of an older vintage, 56 years of age, I've seen Barrow go out the football league, Workington, Southport, all the coastal resorts struggle. Really struggle football-wise. Southend, we'll just held in there because we're one of the biggest seaside resort. But our demise into the bottom two leagues, everybody comes out with by the time. Nobody had as many years in the bottom two leagues out of the established, first and second tier teams as Blackpool. So what I would say, all the energy in the North standard in the club at the moment and here today, it's absolutely palpable. It's superb. What are the challenges faced with in a town like this, with the demographic that it has? And what would you say are maybe the similarities, differences with Barnsley? Because I know we've chatted a bit about it. Interesting for people to know.
Look, at the first year, talking earlier about lawyers, that's what I felt like. The weekly board calls like with Simon and Brett, for the first 12 months, I didn't see the light of day. It was just dealing with legacy issue after legacy issue after, mess after mess left by the sort of the former ownership. In the last 12 months, I feel like we've been able to come up for air a little bit, get involved in the pride of place, the town deal board, the town deal investment board, and I'm trying to sort of do our bit, really. I think we sit in a unique place within the town because obviously a lot of the core supporters, the 8,000 season ticket holders, the sort of 1,500-ish that come most games, they're most are living within the locality, yet the 18 to 20 million visitor economy is very much people coming outside. we've got 8 of the 10 most deprived wards in the country, and we have a responsibility as the football club, as the most high profile brand, if you like, one of the most high profile entities, to try and do all we can. And we won't win every week, Andy. We won't. That's just life. And working with Ash and doing what we're doing, building up the academy, investing in hopefully the training ground of the East End, means that we'll try and do our bit to spark more employment, greater skills for young people. I spoke at a business in the community breakfast recently, and I'm really asking for the other big high profile entities in the town to show a bit of bravery and come together, because when COVID disappears, there's a strong chance that we'll all think about going to warmer climates for our holidays again, and some of the boom that we're feeling now might dissipate as quickly as it came. And if you go to Disney and some of these other resorts, we've now got the fastest internet in the country via a cable that comes from New York. So in essence, the London Stock Exchange would be better served in Blackpool than where it is, and that's just a fact. And we need to be brave, and we need to be at the centre of that, because I don't think we threaten some of the other resorts that are here. If we're not brave, and we don't give the young people of Blackpool hope that there's good skills, there's good training, there's good opportunity for them post 16, then I share some of your concerns. I think you were echoing a few moments ago. So for me, we need to be the first digital resort. We need to have an app. We need to have, and not just have this great functionality so we can all talk to each other, we can all book things. And if you book to come to the football, you get the sandcastle cheaper, or you get the pleasure beach. And we've all got to share, because if not, we're all, especially the other high profile tourist attractions here, I feel they could fight for a shrinking pot, and that'll be sad. So we've got to be brave, we've got to be visionary, we've got to share data, we've got to embrace what we are, which is a bloody good place to come and enjoy yourself. We are the entertainment capital of the UK, and we have to show a bit of bravery. And I think the football club, now we've hopefully dealt with a lot of those legacy issues, and we're talking about being proactive, we have to bring the town together. We have to bang the drum, we have to be brave, we have to call for this. Andy Charles does a good job as well, the council are fairly supportive as well, but without that bit of bravery now, without all sharing information and trying to give the young people of Blackpool some hope that there's employment here, there's skills here, and they don't have to disappear to Manchester, Liverpool, then I think Paul, Scott, Mark, and the other MPs of the local council will have a challenge. So it's very much on our radar as a club, and it's very much on Simon's radar. Brett maybe could speak a bit about, because he's the Blackpool guy. I'm the guy that's paid to try and make a lot of this happen. We have to do that bit. We have to do that bit. And I think we're in a unique position, because invariably, when people are coming to watch the football, they're coming anyway. So if we're not a threat to some of the other parts of the visitor economy, but I think without investment in the digital age, and then saying, we all need e-commerce, we all need digital marketeers, we all need data analysts. But if we all go away as 8, 10, 15 companies and try and train those people, it's going to get expensive. Why don't we try and work with Blackpool and Fylde College and develop programs to upskill our local people and the youth as well? And I really hope that I'm here long enough to sort of keep banging that drum and try and deliver on some of what you were saying we should be involved in. So hopefully Paul knows a little bit, but other people, the local council, would echo what we're trying to do in terms of the club. I'll pass over to Brett now. Simon is as passionate about the town as he is the club. He's Blackpool, and he loves the town as much as he loves the club. I think that probably leads for you to top and tail, I think. Yeah. That's absolutely right. When Simon bought the club, it was as much for the love of our football club as it was for his hometown. And whilst he'd not lived here for many years, of course, he's in contact with him, he's in contact with his family, and he knew what was happening in the town and the way that it had slipped back a little bit in recent years. And he's passionate to act as a catalyst for other people to show their passion for the town. He's putting money in. When we went to the House of Lords recently to meet with dignitaries
documentaries involved with investment with Blackpool, arranged by Andy Charles. It was fascinating to see that because Simon's showing an interest, other people in business, they also want to be involved because they can see they're not just doing it on their own. So it's a real catalyst for change. And as Ben has just said, everyone needs to work together and not pull against each other. It needs to be mutually supportive. That if the council are investing, people need to talk to each other because we have a wonderful place in Blackpool. It's quite unique. We see the decline of some seaside resorts, as you say, Andy, but then we look to Brighton and the success that they're having with their football club, with their town. You know, we can emulate that. It doesn't need to be that we go the way of other towns that have gone into decline. We should be in the ascendancy. Just to come on to away from the economic side of things with the football club and what the future is and how do we make it sustainable. I think for me, and I don't think I speak alone, the future is youth. And we need to get youth involved with the football club, passionate about their own hometown team. We will no longer, hopefully, lose players who are excelling in the junior leagues to the likes of Fleetwood and further afield. Now with Kieran Donnelly at the helm and the excellent John Stevenson, we can capture those players, we can build them for the future. As you've seen this week, we've got Rob Actor signed up on a longer term deal, so we can develop players through. We have a manager who's keen to work with young players and develop them and turn them into his kind of a player. But coming back to the fan base, we need to capture those children at 7, 8 years of age. We need to get them involved and passionate about Blackpool and not teams further afield, get Man United and the Liverpools, and let's get them back in the ground. So the shirt initiative is great. We are in the new year going to do an initiative with local grassroots football. We'll say more about that in perhaps January. But to really engage the team, the players, the manager, with the kids that play football in our area, and really have that connection, because we had that disconnect during the dark days of the Oysters, and that's gone now. We have to really build on what's happening, the positivity. Good question, Andy. Good question. I got a chance to get on your soapbox. Just when you say about all working together, and you just said previously, because everybody in this room needs to have a really fair. And that one's for all supporters as well, various things we have going on. All supporters and making what we're doing at the club. How can we support them? What can we do for you as supporters? What do you want from supporters?
Well, that's a great question, isn't it? I think we were very, look, Tony, I see you regular in the volunteers that come and help us clean up after a match day, and just everything from things like that to, like Ashley's going to ask for some help, maybe wrapping all the presents. The list could go on. I think the big thing for me is just help taking us forward, just the support, the match day. Everybody's doing their bit. Simon's doing his bit. Local businesses like FTS are doing their bit. Everybody's doing their bit. And I think that's what Simon spoke about a year or so ago in his thing is if we can all just do our bit. And the big thing, I guess, as supporters that we've talked about is can you, nobble the next door neighbour that's not been for 5 years or 10 years and sort of, I don't know what the dictionary definition of nobble is, so I do apologise if this is going live on, twist their arm, maybe to sort of, come on, there's a bit of something happening down at Bloomfield Road. This guy Critcher's got them going and come on. I would say for me, just off the top of my head, because it was a great question, that apart from the bits that we're very grateful for, that help our budget and help our club look and feel more professional than, we are with the staff that we've got. I think it's that. I think just bang the drum, but in a positive sense. I know you've had to bang the drum in a difficult sense to get to where we're at. But I think now it's, can you go to those lapsed fans, those fans that you knew were season tickets or regular attendees when we were last in the Championship, Premier League, and say, there's a bit of something happening down here at Bloomfield Road, and do you fancy coming and getting involved and giving the new generation an opportunity? And especially, as Brett just alluded to, for me, that's really around the sort of like the next generation of fans. And hopefully in the next 6 months we'll get back going with young Seasiders. That's very much in our plans for next year. Every year we've tried to do something, the online store, the CRM system, we've tried to take us forward very close to being able to use your phones, both for your season tickets and your match tickets. We really are trying to bring something in on a regular basis. So Junior Seasiders is very much in our plans, but that would be my answer. And then I'm going to give Ash and Brett an opportunity to see if they can usurp me with that.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. I think we did a really clever campaign last year in backing Blackpool and backing all the different areas, and I think it's the same answer really, is just back us as a football club, back us as a community trust, back us as an academy, back us with the women and girls section that we've got. We've got some amazing work going on right across the board, and it's for you guys to come and enjoy the journey with us really. As Andy mentioned, we have got a town where we've got a lot of families that are really struggling, and we sit in the most deprived ward in the country in Bloomfield, and what we've got to do is collectively we've got to raise aspirations. So just do everything you can to support us with that, get the messages out there, push as many volunteers as we can, and as Ben says, let's try and get as many bums on seats in the stadium to cheer on the lads on a Saturday as well. So
Yeah, I think without going over what's already been said, I think also patience is important, because we're not going to get everything right every week. And there will be games that are lost. And as Ben alluded to earlier, it won't be through lack of effort or lack of honesty from the players or the people running the club. But there will be times when it'll be difficult. Stick with us, because what you now have at the football club is a CEO and an owner who are honest, high integrity, and they are working bloody hard to get a football club for everyone to be proud of. And stick with us, because the support makes all the difference. And when Simon sits there, and he's at pretty much every game, and he looks out and he sees our support getting behind the team, and the passion and the belief and the positivity, that encourages him to carry on with his good work. So yeah, the support base is so important, and we are very, very grateful. But yeah, just keep doing what you're doing, because it's brilliant.
Just one thing. I don't know if you noticed what the support means to the players. I thought it was great, when Critch comes and does his sort of fist pump, that the players are nearly itching to do it with him. And I think that's great, that togetherness. But I don't know if you noticed that the QPR game, which was live on Sky, I thought we gave a quite remarkable account of ourselves that night live on Sky. And once I'd finished questioning the officials, and so Nick Horn, our club secretary, finally pulled me away from Alan Wiley, who must have dreaded coming to that game, who's now the head of the professional referees for the Championship. And you'll all remember Alan Wiley as a Premier League referee. Once he pulled me away from there, I don't know if you saw, there was definite moments of the game when the full stadium was at it, and Critch is just there. He's trying to watch the game, and his head's just going up and down. In tandem to your chanting, and I haven't seen that. In 20 years of being involved in professional football, and in sort of 30 odd years of being fortunate to watch it in stadiums, I've never seen a head coach as diligent as Critch be remotely distracted from the game, and while he is barking out orders, to be nodding his head to the music. So I think little things like that for me show just how far this club has come from what I understand and what I've learned over the last 2 years.
Okay, we're going to have to wind up quite soon. Carl wants to have something. Steve's got his hand up, and Grimmy wants to. So we made these
We'll do the first two of those. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, hi. This is a question that a few people have mentioned to me. We're talking about trying to get more people back in the ground, and obviously the atmosphere is great, and all sounds great. But I think There's been a lot of work done on homophobic chanting, racist chanting, but nobody ever mentions sexist chanting. And I think that there's a lot of females that may be put off from coming, not just to come for road, but to all football games because they feel they don't like to hear it basically. Now I know you guys probably watch games as well, and it can be quite unpleasant. And I think that those of us who come regularly and have been for many, many years are a little bit harder to it. We have to think about the people that are regulars that may come now and again, and that's the sort of thing that people want. And women do make up about 50% of the population, so it's quite a huge number of people that could be kind of thought about a little bit more. I just wondered if you have any thoughts on it.
Well, look. Firstly, I'll pass over to Ash because Ash is starting a journey for the club to really take forward women and girls football here at the club and connected to Blackpool. That's slightly aside from what you're asking, Karen. Look, any form of discrimination just totally and utterly unacceptable. All the stewards are trained to be able to receive complaints, all the way up to obviously our ground safety officers. We are having to take a fairly tough stance on a few things at the moment. More bottle throwing, missile throwing, chasing coaches down Central Drive. I think that's an incredibly small minority, and we're working with Lancashire Police, as some of these in the room know, to try and deal with that. Therefore, I would hope that if that is happening, that we are open and approachable as a club to receive those complaints and to deal with it. And if we're not, then I would welcome that feedback and we will try and improve. I think we've done so much as a football club to come to be a really open and honest and community-based football club, that if some of that is happening, then we need to know about it. You're quite right that we want to be a family club. I believe we're a long way to being a family club. I look at the family enclosure now on a match day, and it's much more populated than it was when I arrived. So I think we're making good steps, but nobody in today's professional sporting arena can get complacent, can pretend that things don't exist. We absolutely have to deal with them, and we will deal with them. So if there's things we can learn, then I'd like to hear about it. And I'll maybe pass over, if it's of interest, for Ash to talk more about the journey we're going on with women and girls football as well.
Well, two parts to it. I thought it was a really good thing to raise, and thank you for doing so. Before I come on to that, we're actually just writing a new equality action plan for the whole of the football club, which is something that we've been in action to do through the Premier League and the EFL for every club to do. And what we've done with that is we've really taken our time on it to get it right. And we're going to have three characteristics that we're going to focus on. So the first one's being the workforce and making sure that the workforce right across the board is representative of our town and our community. The second one is then about beneficiaries, so that whether that's taking part in our provision, whether that's coming and enjoying the games, whether that's just coming to the stadium or whatever that might be, we need to make sure that we're removing as many barriers as we can for whatever reason that might be, that they're there to make sure that they can access all of the stuff that I just mentioned. And then third and final, which is probably the most important, and then also comes back to what Tony asked, is it's around raising awareness. So I think we've got a collective responsibility to report things in, but also let's demonstrate how that type of negative behaviour won't be accepted at our provision, at our stadium, on the games, and even within our community. So I think collectively we will have a number of points that we can pick up within that action plan that we can hopefully remove as many of those issues that are coming up within the game. It's certainly not just a Blackpool issue. It's seen across the countries or even across world football, and it's wrong. I think we all agree it's wrong. So we need to remove as much of that as we can.
Sorry about that. Just second on to that, and yeah, we're also now working really closely with Blackpool ladies and girls for a fantastic grassroots club who, similar to us, have had to kind of very much be very independent in the past and work very much on their own to continue all the amazing work that they do. We've got one of the best female setups that isn't a regional talent centre probably in the country. One of the biggest issues has been is they felt like they're out on their own, and what we needed to do now is really work collectively to bring them to be part of the journey and bring them into the family, if you like. So we're actually going to fund a development officer, which the admin's going to go out really soon, to first of all build that synergy and hopefully build on the fantastic work that they've done. Let's look if we can start working towards academy RTC for female as well as the male. We've talked a lot about all the exciting stuff that we've got going on for lads, but as you mentioned, 50% of our population are female, and we need to infuse them into the game as well to play and come support our amazing football club, but also to raise that awareness and that aspiration and use football as a trigger to try and get girls engaged in some more positive activity. So, yeah, we've got a lot going on. I think it's a really good thing to raise, and hopefully that answers some of the bits that you asked. Just specifically on that point, if supporters witness any hate crime, any racist, homophobic, misogynistic behaviour in the stadium, call it out. Tell us. Because we do not condone at all that kind of conduct. It's unacceptable. It's unwelcome at Bloomfield Road. We are not about that at all. Tell us. And if we have people who are behaving in that way, we will catch up with them. Because we want the experience on Matchday to be one that everyone can enjoy. We do not want anyone to feel excluded. So we feel very strongly that supporters can play their role in identifying people who hold those values that are very much out of touch, not welcome in football, not welcome in football. Steve. Yeah, thank you first of all, great to see all three of you here today. Thanks for making the time. My question is about the slightly less than level playing field when it comes to televised games this year. I think we've had one other clubs see the awards every other week. What do you feel about this and what can we do about it? Look, we're contracted as part of our membership for the championship to be on air twice. So we'll definitely be on air twice. I would love to be on air as often as possible because yes, you do get a substantial financial payment, and I think given the level of support and what we're achieving, that would be really helpful extra money because I think we've got a cool fan base now that are right behind us that would come, whether we're on TV or not. Bizarre, isn't it? Now we need the money. Don't get me started on Barbie. I think, I look, Sky are a business, and I spent 12 months at another club in Yorkshire within Barnsley, and at one stage the owner locked the keys and wouldn't let him in for a game because he was just fed up. And he wasn't a popular owner, but he was just a football fan, believe it or not, and he just was fed up of Friday nights, Monday nights, Sundays, and just never having a 3 o'clock. Like we all like our 3 o'clock on a Saturday routine, don't we? We like it, and but ultimately, so much of the money that we receive from the EFL is generated from domestic and international broadcasting. And the Football League have just recently extended their international broadcasting deal, which doesn't affect the schedule as much as Sky. So, yes, it would be good to be on TV. I think we'd give a great account of ourselves every time we're on TV. It would be a financial upside. QPR, Derby in particular, are two teams that do seem to be on regular, Steve. But that's picked by the schedulers of Sky because they've got their advertisers that they've got to satisfy, and therefore Sky want eyeballs, and therefore they'll tend to pick those teams where they think they're getting those eyeballs. That's the sort of business side, I guess, of our game. Two questions. To be fair, I thought it was today, but Brett sort of said it's soon. So no, we will do. And to be honest, I'd like to sort of come and have a. It was actually at Birmingham, wasn't it? Simon regularly goes to us. He's going to kill me from saying this. I know it's been live streamed, but I've started now. So I better finish. Occasionally, Simon goes. We sat there, and not all directors' boxes are like as warm and friendly as, ours. And occasionally he looks at me and goes, and he's looking at the fans, he's going, come on, at half time, should we just go over there? Should we just go over there? And that happens regularly. I'm very fortunate that I'm surrounded by two fellow directors that are absolute fans, and it enables me to behave a little bit lively at times, especially around referees. So we will come, Grimmy. For me, I'd like to, keep going the way we're going. Know that we've achieved our first aim this year of sort of, staying in the champ, and then maybe we can come and let our hair down a little bit when the first job is done, if you like.
And he got absolutely shattered by the Oysters. He got a bit see you later. And we can certainly Q&A it. Now for me, and for the rest of the London outfield, it's a patient and system. And I hope to go into the something in the Q&A. Is he got tricked?
I feel like I followed Coidy's journey a little bit, maybe from afar, because he was represented for a long time by the company that I used to work for, and picked up that he got one or two opportunities to move on. I believe Celtic was one he was linked with strongly, if my memory serves me right, and that move and one or two other moves didn't happen for him, and he was paid what he was paid, and I think I can just about remember those numbers from my colleague telling me, and he gave great service to this club, is what I understand. He came with some of his friends. He's working in the area at the moment, I understand, and he came with some of his friends. And actually, his former agent Tam reached out to me not long after I came and said, "Look, Coidy's got a real connection with this club, and how can you get him involved? And maybe he hasn't got his coaching badges, but how can we?" And he came to the game. One of the last home games, and Nick Horn, our club secretary, met him, and we're going to have those conversations with him. I know Kieran's speaking to a number of ex-players, because it'd be great to see a number of ex-players on the coaching staff at the academy as well. I think it's something that we don't have a lot of at the moment, but I think it's really important for us going forward. So Simon is very committed to trying to help ex-players and members, former members of the Blackpool sort of family. So I really hope that we'll now maintain that contact, because a lot of the ex-players haven't been in touch. We say sometimes we don't have a wash of ex-players on match days, for example, because there was just a period where they didn't want to be in touch with the club, and hopefully bit by bit we're trying to put that right, and I think the Tony Green dinner was a real start for that, seeing loads of people back at the club having a right good night at the club. Do you remember being there? So on Coidy, I understand from afar that he gave great service to this club, and it was also, I think if there's the right opportunity, we'll chat to Danny about that, no problem at all. And if you're doing an event to support Danny and to sort of embrace his time at the club, then we'll get behind that, no problem at all. Ex-players, I see John Cross is sat in the back room, and the excellent work that John does week in, week out with former players, keeping in contact. I think there were difficult times for John. We're now trying to support him as much as we possibly can. Former players are very welcome. Clark sits at the front of the room here. Ash and I had a good chat with Clark about trying to get Clark involved with the community trust as a real talisman, former star of the football club. So former players are very, very valued, and you're right, Grimmy, if we can help former players in any way and it's possible for us to do that, then we will do that, of course, because former players are very important to us and they should be shown the respect that they've earned playing in the Championship.
So, next up, we have Q&A session.
I've got challenges afoot at the moment, one of which is Sky trying to turn all our TVs off, so I have to disappear for a few minutes because you can't make it on praise. Brilliant. And so if I could welcome Clark and proceed to the stage. We've got the other challenge I was going to mention. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. The other challenge I was going to mention is we're running low on batteries on this microphone, so we need two microphones, so it might, if one constant, we might have to go to one. If that's okay. So without further ado, I can hand over to Christine Clark. Big round of applause, please.
I'm okay. So, Clark, thank you very much, first of all, for joining us. I'm sure already that you get a vibe of what a different place Blackpool Football Club is now. So tell us, how long is it since you were with us at Blackpool?
25 years. I can't believe it. 1996 was when I first rocked up on Central Drive, living in a guest house with Eddie and Margaret there, and wow, the only thing that's changed as dramatically as the club in that time is probably my waistline.
I think we can all say that.
It's an incredibly different place. Just listening to, Ben and Brett and Ash there. What a wonderful environment. What a wonderfully different culture and approach there is around this place. Thank you very much. And, it's not just those guys who portray it as well. On the review, we had a couple of evidence sections from the Supporters Trust. Is how much it is loved and how much it means to everyone here.
Well, that's nice from an ex-player particularly. That's nice to hear that. And I say it's absolutely great to have you here today. So obviously you had a good playing career. I mean, you left us and went to QPR, as I recall. Yeah. My partner was a season ticket holder at QPR, so I blame him. Sorry. But anyway. But just tell us a little bit about, you got involved with the PFA. In fact, I think you was the chair of the PFA for a while, weren't you?
I was, yeah. That came about by accident, actually. When I went down to Watford, I went to like a church there, and they did a couple of community initiatives, and one of them was a five-a-side that they used to run on a local council estate, the Meriden estate, and I used to go there every Tuesday. And play with the local lads while I was playing for Watford, and it went round in the local press that I was turning up there, and then the PFA got wind of that, and they asked if I'd want to contribute to other initiatives, in and around the club, and so I went on the player management committee for the PFA, and that was back in 2000. Oh my gosh, how's your memory, Christine? Mine's gone. That was 2007. Okay. And I was on the board there for about 3 or 4 years. And when you're on the board, then you're available for selection or election to the chairmanship. And I was elected chair in 2010. And that was an incredible honour, for me to represent my fellow players. Because there are so many things that go on in and around the game, over and above what happens, on a Saturday afternoon. And to be honest, I thought that I'd been abreast of a lot of it, having sat in that role. But then after hearing 100 hours of evidence from different supporters trusts and fans groups up and down the country, oh my goodness, there is so much that goes on in football that I was totally uninitiated about.
There really is. And I mean, before we get to the fan-led review that I know you were very involved with, I'd like to mention obviously your charitable work, and I know you've done a great deal about mental health and suicide prevention. Some people may already have seen some of your interviews and whatnot about that. And I know that you've obviously been involved with Ash Hackett. You've been talking to him at Community Trust. So I think as a supporters group, we like to do whatever we can to support all these kind of initiatives, particularly things I think that affect footballers, because I think this is a mental health, and that is quite a big deal. Am I right in saying, for footballers? So how could we perhaps tell us a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, mental health is a human being condition. You know, we all have mental health, and we often assign certain people in certain jobs with superhuman traits, and football is one of those industries. You know, because we idolise and support the lads when they play on a Saturday. We almost put them on a pedestal where we think that they wear a shield of armour that nothing's ever going to get through. So I mean, it's the same with our, with our armed forces, with our policemen and women, with our emergency services. We seem to think that these people are superhuman in some way or another, but we're all human beings, and we all experience not just ups and downs, but relative traumas throughout our lives, and managing them is more difficult in certain circumstances. And the football environment is one of those, because, it's, even though these are your teammates, there's 40 guys in a squad, they're actually your first opposition, because there's only 11 who can play on a Saturday. And for me as a centre-half, there's actually only 2 who can play at centre-half. So, I'm fighting against these 39 other guys, even though overall we're fighting towards the same goal. So on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, I don't want to let those other 6 centre-halves think that they've got anything on them. I don't want to show to them any sign of perceived weakness. Whether I'm in the side or not, I've got to convey to them, and also, more importantly, to the coaches and the manager, that I'm a pillar of strength, that I'm reliable, trustworthy, and all these things. And the thing about mental health at the minute is that it's perceived as personal weakness, and that's not true. It's a bona fide illness, just like any other illness. So until that perception changes, we're still going to address acknowledging what's going on in our emotional, psychological state, as though it's our fault, or it's their fault, or it's an inability for them to do something, when it's utter rubbish. If I went to the doctors with diabetes, I wouldn't go home and my wife would say, "Oh, how could you do that to us? Sort yourself out." If the doctor prescribed me some insulin and said you need to take that every day, I wouldn't say, "Oh, you're all right, doc. I've got this because I'm a man and I'm strong and I can deal with it." I would take the medical advice, and the people around me will be supportive. And we have to address our mental health and adverse mental health in that same manner. Now, I found out the hard way. Because many of you are my generation, what I was taught to be a man was very much in that old school thinking, where it's all about masculinity, it's strength, silence, and dealing with business, and you don't talk about your emotions, you don't acknowledge emotions. In fact, in my house, my dad was like, "You crying? I'll give you something to cry about." It's not acceptable in it. But it wasn't just my dad. If all hell was going off in the house, we'd walk out the house and someone would say to me, "Mum, how are you, Rose?" And she said, "Yes, we're fine, thank you. Everything's excellent." Are you kidding me? There's World War 12 in there. So not only do you not acknowledge emotions, you lie about them if anyone asks. You pretend that everything's all right. You show that stiff upper lip. So when it came to what was the first real trauma in my life, which was my knee injury when I went down to QPR, I snapped my ACL, LCL, popped the TS, ITB, rotated the fibula head, dislodged the nerve, ripped the hamstring off my right knee. I know the surgeon said, "Oh, you need bugging." I said, "Oh, thanks." I said, "No, seriously, you're going to probably have to stick now." So, you know, I was 20 years of age. I just moved down to London, you know, chasing the dream as you do. I was in a two-bed flat in Acton, living on my own, and I was housebound for 6 weeks, post-op. And in that time, I just, you know, it was just me. It was me in that space. You know, I didn't talk to anyone because talking wasn't a thing. You know, it was no one offered to help because back then in 2000, talking wasn't a thing. You know, there's no one to blame about that. That's just how it was. And my understanding was I had to deal with it myself. And in that space, I just thought I was a failure. Christine, you know, I thought that without football I was nothing because, you know, football was the reason why I come out of council estate in Preston and why my parents were proud and why I had money in my pocket and my dreams were just taking off. But without it, I had nothing. Um, and it was in that space that I tried to take my own life at 21 years of age. Now, if that happened nowadays, we'd expect services to wrap around people, wouldn't we? You know, you go and talk to this person, you get help for this, that, the other. But again, because of that time you know, just in society in 2000, that wasn't a thing either. It was the club physio who discharged me from hospital because the club didn't want anyone to find out. And then he said, "I've been silly." I was like, "Oh, sorry." And I couldn't tell people that because they're still living in a council house in Preston. How can I tell them that me, Billy Bickle, down in London, you know, the vibe wasn't all right, so I didn't. And it's from there that my adverse mental health began. That's the inception of my depression. I'm blessed that I was found, and obviously, spoiler alert, I'm alive. But you know, that we didn't do anything about it. And what I have learned subsequently on that journey from 2000 through to 2014, where I was living with depression, pretending that everything was alright, putting on that mask every day, trying to grind through and be all things to all people with a smile on my face. And don't get me wrong, you know, I achieved great things, but I achieved them at such a cost to me. You know, it was, sometimes we're just so tough, you know, I couldn't get myself to get out of bed in the morning. I couldn't face seeing another human being. But then as soon as someone did walk into the room, so I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." You know, "Oh yeah, here I am. I'm Clark. I'm Premier League footballer, chair of the PFA." Just pretending, just desperate for everyone to go away. Now, I know what that is like. I don't want anyone else to have to go through what I've been through. Because in trying to deal with it like that, I tried to take my own life on another 4 occasions. You know, and that's not what it's about. You know, people need to know that you don't need to go through every single thing in life on your own. People need to know that sharing the thoughts and emotions that you are feeling at the time, or at a time that's close to that, that helps you manage them and process them so that they don't erupt at some random point in the future. And that's what my and my wife's work is all about now. So we go to businesses up and down the country, we share our lived experience, which is, you know, it's quite emotive and traumatic, but it's always with the upshot that, look, we've walked that walk so that you don't have to. You can take certain steps now that mean that you never get to 3, 2, 1 out of 10. You can swap when you're moving, your emotions are fluctuating at 5, 6, 7. And you can make little changes now that ensure that you stay well and resilient. And the master plan for it all, taking it back to football, is the player welfare system. You know, we've constructed a player welfare system that is holistic. It educates players not just about how to be in their optimum performance state, but about their whole selves, understanding that they're human beings as well as footballers. And it's awesome to hear that Blackpool are going to step up their work in their academy. And this is the point where this type of resource is needed most. Because we know that in the fight to find the next gem, the collateral damage is somewhere at 98, 99%.
And that's 99% of our local young lads and lasses who have been sold a dream, maybe not with an alternative option. And when that dream's taken away, they don't go back to the level of their school peers. They go tumbling through because even their school peers are like, oh, you thought you were going to be someone, look at you now, you know, what are you doing? So we need to support all of our players, all of our communities to understand that we are more than what we do. You know, I am a father, a husband, a son, a brother, a friend, and also this is what I do for work. And all of these are what make me valuable.
Just as human beings, and it's great that you're so open about it, because that's the only way we're going to move forward. So, maybe we talk about moving forward. Can I just talk to you quickly about the staff-led review, which I'm sure everybody's heard about now, the report Tracy Crouch that was published last week about football governance and the changes that are required. For those who don't know, Clark was actually on the staff-led review panel who assisted Tracy Crouch to come to the conclusions and sat and listened to hours and hours of evidence from the supporters, people like me, up and down the country. We did actually have our own little slot and we were given 45 minutes, which was great. So just tell us quickly, how did you come to be involved in that?
I was invited by a gentleman called Chris Anderson, who's a former football lawyer who now works for DCMS, and he headed up the review, and he knew of my background in football, and you know, he valued my reputation and thought I'd be able to proffer some good insight, you know, into some of the things that they were talking about. So the invite came out of the blue as well, you know, totally unexpected. It wasn't something that I'd looked for or planned for, but when it did come, I didn't jump at it straight away, you know. I didn't jump at it straight away because we've had a number of reviews in football. There have been so many that have come and gone. You know, we've had a number of people and organisations try to get football's governing bodies to a fit for purpose state. And I needed some convincing that this was going to be different to all the others. And then I was talking to my dad, and my dad said, well, I'll tell you one thing for sure, son. He said, you'll not be able to contribute to making a difference if you're not at the table. I said, okay, right, I hear that, Dad, I hear that. And I accepted the invitation, and I said to the chair, I said to Tracy and Chris, I said, I would be delighted to take part in this process as long as, when the recommendations come out, I have total independence to comment on, you know, what came to the table and what's being produced. You know, that I don't have to get corralled into a party line. And she said, no, totally. You know, you can have your own views. There will be my recommendations, you know, as chair, and you can comment on the process. And from then, I was interested, you know, because I've seen football, especially in my role at the PFA, because at the PFA you have to do this merry tango with all of the stakeholders, you know, with the FA, with the EFL, with the Premier League, and they're all dancing this lovely Strictly Come Dancing routine. You know, they're pretending to say all the right things when really we know that it's how much money have you got and how much are you going to give us? It's the only thing that matters, and it's the Premier League who pull the strings. You know, they're not supposed to be the ones in power. The FA are the governing body, but they use this soft coercive power by, you know, drip feeding the money in the ways that they find suit. And I just wanted to be at the table so that I could see every part of the process and see if what comes out as a solution actually reflects what was put in. And I've got to say, much kudos to Tracy Crouch. She was an incredible chair. Not only was she incredible, she was very straightforward with you know, with the Premier League especially, and the FA. She destroyed the FA. But she listened, you know, she listened on a, without patronising or condescending. You know, she listened as though she loved the game and was interested too. And there were so many different accounts that came from different supporters trusts, but there were variations on a theme. Does that make sense? You know, you could pick up and drop off in any club in the country, and everyone was on this same continuum. And it depends whether you were in the throes of the good owner or in the throes of the bad owner that you know showed what evidence you gave. But everyone had experience of both. And you know that really strongly came across. So, and what I was blown away by was, you know, I know footballers get a bad press. They get a bad press. Everyone thinks we're all numb. You know, all we can do is kick a ball. Well, just have a look at what's going on with the England fans at Wembley. You know, it was a horrible situation. We know that was just this, not even this representative of football fans across the country. But the narrative won't reflect that. And that's what I had been informed of about supporters. You know, that supporters were tribalistic and could only ever, you know, care about themselves or couldn't make rational, responsible judgment. My goodness. I'll tell you what, the constitution of this trust in and of itself, it puts a lot of governing bodies to shame. You know, just for the experience, the professionalism, the insights, but also the willingness to listen and adapt and evolve and present something that's in the best interest of all, not just us. So, in collating all that, you know, it was very clear that everyone's only ever one owner away from a bad owner, aren't they? You know, as a fan, you're only ever one owner away from a bad experience. And we need to ensure, as a nation, that our football clubs don't fall foul. So, you know, the recommendations that she put out, the greatest thing about them, I feel, is that they're not pick and mix. There's 47 recommendations and they come as a block. So everything runs in tandem one with the other. And that's one of the hardest things to address within football. You know, we're always looking for a single strand solution, aren't we? But everyone's so intertwined. Yeah. You know, from 7 years of age through to 70 years of age, from south to north, across every league and every aspect of the club, it's all interlinked. So if you just try and fix this one, you know, these are going to adjust accordingly and they'll still stay out of kilter and they'll probably pull that one back out. But a 47 recommendation blanket approach to try and fix everything in unison or bring it up to an acceptable level in unison, I think is the beginnings of forward steps for the industry.
And so also as supporters, because obviously this has been fan-led, and I think has it gone? Never mind. Can you hear it? Thank you. It's been fan-led. As supporters, we were obviously a bit concerned that we were going to be patted on the head and then, you know, ignored pretty much. That clearly has not happened. I personally feel, you know, very encouraged by the fact that most of what we put forward has actually come out in the report. But of course, it got to, and I'm going to bring Paul in here very shortly, our Paul Maynard, the MP for Blackpool North. But what can we as supporters do now? Because I know that there's already the pushback has started from the Premier League particularly. So we need to make this happen. So this is something very much for supporters now to get engaged with.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
I would wholeheartedly agree with that, Christine. And I thought it was an excellent question earlier. What can we do for you now? Not many people ask that question. You know, it's like, how many people want change? How many people want to change? You know, how many people are willing to contribute to change? It's a very different dynamic that I heard over those 100 hours. And the approach from BST is incredible. But
with regards to this, you're right. The pushback is immense. And where's the pushback coming from? It's coming from the Premier League. It's coming from the power mongers and those who have the cash. Because this response reflected the very reason why an independent regulator is needed. The report came out. Richard Masters said, yes, it's an excellent report. He sent us a letter to the panel that said, you know, we're looking forward to engaging with the independent regulator, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, the Premier League chairs of football clubs say, we're not happy with an independent regulator. We're not happy with the transfer levy. They kick off. And now Richard Masters sends another letter saying, we're not looking forward to talking to an independent regulator. Now, this is not how football should be governed. You know, at that governance level, it should be independent. You should have the ability to make independent decisions that are in the best interests of the entirety of the game, not just a nominal elite. And what really, really annoys me is that the Premier League very quickly forgets that it is only the Premier League because it came and decapitated the top of our pyramid. Its very inception came about with them destroying the pyramid in its right anyway. So it's not as though, you know, the narrative, the rhetoric that comes from them is that they did something special to become the Premier League. They didn't. English football had a magnificent pyramid system, and they just severed the capstone and took it for themselves. Now that can't happen again. So what we need to do as supporters of our clubs and of the game in whole, to combat that, a lot of people want to combat fire with fire. What we rarely hear are the success stories. What we rarely hear, the loudest voice in the room is usually the angriest, the one of complaint. What we rarely hear in the back pages across, you know, the terrace talk is the fantastic initiatives that have saved football clubs, that are currently working after that battle has been fought. You know, when you were right at loggerheads with Voldemort and his crew, it was on the back pages, wasn't it? Yeah. But once the war is over, how many people are speaking about the good things that are happening at Blackpool Football Club? Yes, you know, but because it's good news. It's good news. It doesn't sell papers, but people need to hear that war, that it was the inception of what is now good practice, and it's good practice that we need to perpetuate across the entirety of our game. So what we need to do is bang the drum, but don't bang the drum in protest. Bang the drum in support of what is happening. These are good times in bad economic societal times, you know, and that's not the story everywhere. So let's shout about the results of the good things that we're doing and see if we can get that message forward, because that needs to be the antidote to the anger and fire that's coming from those Premier League clubs who effectively just want more money for themselves.
Well, thank you very much. Obviously, Paul Maynard's here now. We're preaching to the converted to extent, I think. Paul is a member of BST and has been right from the early days and is supported through all our campaign. So, Paul, just following on from what Clark and I have been talking about now, just from as a member of Parliament and where we're going with this, what would you advise us?
Well, I think firstly, thank you for having me today. Tracy asked me to pass on her good wishes. I spoke to her this morning and she said two key things to pass on. Firstly, you made it very easy for her to pick the photo for chapter 4 of her report, which, if you look at it, is a chap outside the town with an orange scarf saying "Blackpool are back." From the day when we marched the town centre back to Bloomfield Road to repossess the ground, if you like. And in addition, she said that the section on the owners and directors test is virtually a cut and paste of what BST submitted. That you basically have written those rules yourself. nobody else has. So you should be very proud of that. And just to announce the election results earlier was the chap writing his report. He should take a lot of pride in what he's achieved. So what do we need from you next? Well, yes, a bit of patience, because now we've got this report, 162 pages. Go away and read it all. But now we have to put it into legislation. As Clark has said, we've been here before. 1997 football task force. We had expert-led working group or expert working groups led or whatever. But all these alphabets sit for different groups. Now we have a very concrete set of proposals, and we have to turn it into law. We have to set up this independent regulator. And what we don't want politicians doing is voting on the offside law, how VAR is applied, or anything else. We need to set up the body and give it the powers it needs to then put into place so much of what Clark and Tracy have recommended. We've actually got quite a narrow job to do as politicians. And what we need from all supporters across the country is to keep telling us what you think. That when it comes to the House of Commons, the powers that be in the Premier League can't sway us in one direction or another. And they will try to sway us, but that I have no doubt at all. We know that they like inviting politicians to football matches. You've probably seen them on social media. It's all that very soft, soft power that they have. And we need a bit of backbone. And that's the thing, I got backbone. I know from I hesitate. There's only one town in the country where football is a really political issue. Because there's only one town with the likes of Andy who are paying on ballot papers in parliamentary elections. We don't get that anywhere else in the country. So I know just how much it matters to this town. And when I first got elected in 2010, it was a Friday morning in the early hours. Within 24 hours, I was on a train down to Wembley for a championship playoff. And the result of that, I could feel the upswing in the mood in the town. It wasn't just for me being elected, I can assure you of that. And that endured throughout that season. And I felt the consequences of when it wasn't going so well, or when the oysters were the problem. So I understand how football isn't just about the game and what occurs on that green pitch every other Saturday. It's about how proud we feel as a community and the good that the club can do, not just for what Ashley does with the community trust, but what everyone does who wears a tangerine shirt. I've got neighbours up in Bristol in Ashfield Road who leave their house at 1 p.m. on a Saturday to walk down here. It's a bloody long way. They're not going to get any younger. There is a real commitment in this town. So my ask to you is to keep fighting on behalf of your club. And I know from the emails I've had down the years that you're all willing to engage in that fight. And I think this time, Tracy's been very clear. Everyone always says football is in the last chance saloon. The FA have got to change. It's been said so many times. Tracy has now said the saloon is now closed. You've had your say, FA. You've had your say, Premier League. You've had your say, EFL. Finito. We're now going to create this independent regulator. We're going to give it the powers it needs, and then it's going to go away and do its job. You need to keep your eyes out, though, because once that regulator is established, we as MPs can't tell it what to do. You as fans can't tell it what to do. So you need to make sure that the dialogue between the regulator and the fans is as strong as it can be, because Clark's review body isn't there anymore. Its job is done. It's not going to be there sitting reviewing what the regulator does. So we have to get it right first time. Give it the powers it needs, but not give it too many powers, not give it too few powers. That's going to be a really tricky balance, I think, to find. So you've got to keep reading the back pages, paying attention to the detail, think how it applies to the game you love, to the club you love, and make sure that we as politicians, Scott and myself, are doing the right thing and saying the right thing in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Paul, and obviously to Clark as well for joining us. I'll just hand over to our chair to close the meeting.
And a big hand for Christine as well. Come on. I'll be Piers Morgan is a background, Christine. Goodness me. Tremendous. Lovely. Well, we're about to close the meeting. Because we're a democratic organisation, does anybody have any quick questions? I noticed a hand at the back from Paul. I'll pick a note you're talking about the collection. I'll mention that. Anybody else got anything they want to add before we conclude?
Thank you.
Okay. Yes. That was super. Wonderful meeting. Thanks again to Clark, to Paul. Wonderful speeches from both of you. Absolutely tremendous. And also the three. Robbie as well. Special thanks to Michael. He's not there at the moment, but he's done all the tech for us today. And his two little helpers. Congratulations again to those that were elected. And our friend here, Mr. Grimshaw, is going to be making a collection. There's a tangerine bucket.
You ain't getting out otherwise.
That's it. And what it's for, some of you may or may not see, there's not been too much on social media, but there will be quite a lot. We all know Chris Hull quite well. He mobilises and gets great things sorted. We're arranging, or Chris is spearheading it, along with Grimmy, Carver, and a few of the lads here, and a lot of the other supporters, a Christmas dinner, and we're working in conjunction with two charities. Yes?
Yep.
And it's for homeless people in Blackpool, and it's going on the 28th.
28th of December.
28th of December, so we're looking to finance. It's going to be a 3-course cooked meal here, all sorted out. It's going to be a really good event, and it's again an example of the fans from Blackpool doing what they do well, which is giving, because we're full of tangerine blood and we love the town, we all love each other. So
Also on top of that, they're going to be getting hot bowls, they're going to be getting a box with toothpaste, everything. Basically.
Yeah, all kinds of good things happening. Yeah, tremendous. So if you give generously, paper more than coins would be ideal, but we appreciate it. So thanks again, everybody. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thanks to Charles. It will be on YouTube later, I believe.
Yeah, the whole thing will probably be on recording, because it's just on the phone.
It will be on the Lee Charles TV channel on YouTube.
Yes, the whole video will be on, folks. I'm sorry about the sound, but this was very last minute. We've just done it on my phone, but next time we'll have a proper all microphone up and everything. But thanks for watching, and I'll get it up as soon as I can so you can hear the full thing properly.